What is going on, YouTube world? Everybody outside of the YouTube world, welcome to the Conquistadork channel. Thank you for joining on this episode of our collection tea time, where we grab our drinks and talk about some comics. Excuse me there. I have with me tonight a batch of Bigelow Earl Grey black tea, only the finest on the Conquistador channel. I am experimenting with milk and tea, and I heard that black tea is real good for that, so I went with some classic Earl Grey. But enough about the tea. I hope you guys have your drinks poured up next to you. I would like to share some of my comic book collection, because that's what we do here on the Conquistadork channel. We talk about comics, and of course on our collection tea time, we dive deep into our collections, and sometimes we come across things that we're surprised we don't even know that they were there, and some things that we forget about, so that's real exciting. But on this episode, I've been digging through some of my old books, and I've actually come across some books that have been real interesting to me in the past. Books that I kind of forgot about, and I kind of wanted to pick them back up, reintroduce myself to them, and get myself acquainted with these storylines again, because as a kid I was really digging these heroes and these storylines, and it'd be cool to kind of revisit them and see what's up. This is a more current run that I've been checking out. I've been really digging this series. This is by she's actually an author, and she created this trilogy of this magic fantasy based trilogy, these novels, and Titan Comics picked it up, decided to publish some issues, and she of course wrote the series. This is V.E. Schwab. V.E. of course is Victoria Elizabeth Schwab, and this is drawn by Andrea Olimpieri, and also drawn by Enrica Angiolini. So you got some artists across the board, and this author who decided to start writing for comics. And her comic series actually takes place 30 years before her novel. So that's kind of cool. That's very interesting, to have like a little prologue of these characters. I myself have never read any of the novels. I was only introduced to this. My local comic book shop had it when it was first coming out. This started coming out in October 2018, so it's fairly new. But there's 8 issues out right now. Just start showing these off. This is V.E. Schwab, Shades of Magic, The Steel Prince. That's number 1. And I'm really big into magic. I'm really big into fantasy. These kind of epic storylines that have to deal with multiple realms and different Earths, and being able to, in this particular case, he's a prince. He's the Prince of London, but his magical abilities are that he's able to sort of mend steel and kind of turn it into this flowy lava form and be able to create different materials out of it. So if there was a gold coin, he could kind of smelt it down and create a dagger out of a pouch of gold coins. So it gets really interesting. If a sword is coming at him, he can bend it and make it flimsy so it won't pierce him. So he gets into some trouble. He's a prince, but his father, the king, wants to test him, and he gets sent off to this port town, this port city filled with miscreants and criminals, and criminals running amok, and he has to go from there and prove himself, prove that he's not only able to be strong enough, but smart enough, cunning enough, and be a leader. This is issue number 2. This was published by Titan Comics. It was really cool that Titan Comics was digging this and decided to pick this up. Issue number 3. They start introducing a pirate queen, and she docks on the port city, and of course she's feared across the city, and people look to her as the leader, in fear. And of course Maxim, who's the main character, he has to figure out a way to combat against her. She is a bone magician, so in this case you can say that the main character is a steel or like a metal magician, where he can manipulate different sorts of metals. He says that steel is particularly his forte. The villain is able to manipulate bones, so you see her casting her magic, and her magic flows inside of the townspeople, and they bend for her, they crouch for her so she can crawl, or so she can walk on top of them as a ladder. Very cool stuff, very, very deep stuff. And this is issue number 5. So I've read up to issue number 2. I've been really, really digging it. And for our collection tea time with Conquistadorks, I wanted to show off this series. It's one of the more modern series that's in my collection. But if you're into fantasy, if you're into magic, things like that, this was right up my alley. I was really digging this book. I can't wait to read the next issues. I believe the first 4 issues are its own like little mini arc, and then the next 4 issues are its own little mini arc. So altogether 8 issues. The 8th issue came out in July of this year, and the graphic novel just came out back in March. So the first volume of the graphic novel came out back in March. My LCS just had a little mini sale, and I picked up some volumes, some indie stuff. The first thing that I picked up was this. Well, now it's added into my collection, right? So to show this off for our collection tea time, I wanted to show off this Descender. I picked up Descender issues 1 through 12. This is an Image series by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. I believe it runs more than 12 issues, but that's okay. I haven't read it yet, so I wanted to pick it up I'm not quite sure when it came out, but I know Jeff Lemire, he does some good stuff every now and then. He just did Berserker Unbound, which a lot of people were digging, and Ascender, which is the continuation to Descender. Ascender just came out a couple months ago, so I wanted to see kind of what the hype was about. I've heard mixed things. I've heard, oh, Ascender's better. I've heard Descender's better, but doesn't really matter to me. I'm just excited to pick these up and read them. Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen on the Image series Descender, and these aren't bag and boarded, but I'll show them off anyways. Issues 1 through 12, I was able to pick these up for $1 each, so $12 for the whole lot. Not a bad price. This is issue number 1. Can't really tell. Oh, there, yeah, you can tell that it's like a small boy looking up at the moon, and he has almost like a robotic head. Issue number 2. YouTube is 90, that's right. Thank you so much, Chad, for hanging out. Descender number 2, you have the robot with a kind of like a no sign, a cross sign over their face. You can kind of get like a gist or like a feel of what this book is about just from the covers. Issue number 3. Ooh, this one's really cool. It's almost like a transformer looking robot. Issue number 4, Descender. I really like the backgrounds. I believe that the person who sold this to me was mentioning that it was all watercolors, the interior. So I've never read this, and just flipping through this, yeah, just gets me really excited to kind of just binge read this. I don't really do a lot of binge watching TV shows, but every once in a while I'll definitely binge read a series. Issue number 5, another badass cover. I really dig this guy's gun. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is. Maybe like a slab of metal. And it was split into 2 6 lots, 6 issues in each lot. This is issue number 6. Really nice cover. What's going on, Art Chemist? Yo, if you guys have the chance, go check out Art Chemist, his Instagram. He has some sick carnageized drawings that he did himself. Super dope. And he does some haul videos as well, so go check out his YouTube channel as well, The Art Chemist. I believe his Instagram is theartchemist_. Art Chemist, I don't know if you have your favorite drink, something that you like to sip on while you enjoy some comics. I'm just going through some of my collection, but I kind of went a little bit more specific, and decided to show off some collections that were in, well, some collections that were in my collectionception. Some series that were in my collection that I've recently picked up and that I've wanted to reread. So I recently picked up this Descender lot, issues 1 through 12. This is issue number 7 right here. These aren't bag and boarded, but it's all good. Reader's copy. Still showing them off. Issue number 8. That issue number 7 is a little different. It's got like this clay art cover, but issue number 8 we get back into like the watercolors. Almost like a Star-Lord meets Star Wars. You know, meets like old school Han Solo character. Yo, what's going on? Bake the snake. I wish I had like a issue number 9, back into the watercolors. I've heard it's a solid story. I've never read it, and I went to my local comic shop and they were having a sale, and they had like people who had booths there who were also selling stuff, and this guy was selling the 12 issues, so he was selling issues 1 through 12 for $12, $1 each. So I was like, heck yeah, can't pass this up. Never read it, always wanted to. I've heard good things, and I've heard good things about Ascender as well. So, you know, a good read is always a good read. Number 11. And last but not least, number 12. And I mentioned this earlier. I believe it continues. I'm not 100% sure, but the first 12 issues, that's something that I'm glad that I picked up, that I'm excited to dive into. These watercolors inside, man, so good. So good. I recently picked that up at the sale, and I also picked up these Starmans. Yeah, I'm kind of getting that like Star Wars vibe, but it's almost like a I don't know, I haven't read it yet, but it's almost like a post-apocalyptic Star Wars almost. I don't know. Yeah, but picked up these Starmans. I remember my boy Derek Hyde talking about Starman. I think this was the series that he was talking about. This was published by DC. If I can open this up. This tape. Published by DC. Robinson, Harris, and Von Grobadger. That is an awesome last name. Von Grobadger. I guess he's on the inks on this. But this is Starman, published by DC. The Beginning of Tomorrow. This totally looks like 90s. It's signed 94 on the cover. This like cyberpunk man of mystery he's magic mystery, Starman. I'm not familiar with Starman. Um, I remember Derek Hyde talking about it, and the same vendor who was selling the Descender was selling the Starman, and for 4 issues, $1 an issue. Can't pass that up. Starman number 1. Starman number 2, Starman number 2. It starts with number 0. So very kind of like cyberpunk. And issue number 4. Sorry, issue number 3. The 4th issue of the lot, issue number 3. So Starman, yeah. Recent pickup. I decided to add this into my collection. It was a recommended read by Mr. Derek Hyde, and for $4, $1 an issue, could not pass this up. So excited to read that as well. And I was digging through this box of mine the other day, and it's a lot of stuff that I haven't organized. What's up, JB? What's up, Discovery Bay Comics? Hanging out in the chat. And as I was flipping through this box, I decided that I wanted to show off some stuff for collection tea time. Some stuff that I've showed off in the past, but I kind of was just flashing through them. But as I said, I kind of wanted to go a little bit more specific, and these are runs that I enjoyed when I was a kid, so I was interested to revisit them and reread these and see what I thought of them now currently. One of my favorite runs, and this is, I'm going with the theme and the hype of House of X. I know House of X has been super hot fire. The rebirth of Jonathan Hickman, introducing his own mythos into the X-Men universe. People have been really enjoying House of X. One of the runs of X-Men that I really liked in the past was this X-Men Phoenix Endsong run. And I don't remember if this was good. I don't know if any of y'all have read this in the past or recently. I remember when I read this, when I bought it, it's a 5-issue limited series, X-Men Phoenix Endsong. I remember when I read it when it was coming out, I really dug this storyline. I really enjoyed what they were doing. I don't remember if it was after or before X-Men 3. But we get that Phoenix story in these 5 issues. We also get a little bit of talk about Quentin. There's some mention about Quentin, who's the Omega level mutant who has kind of been mentioned a little bit in House of X. He's touched upon a little bit in this series. Well, not a little bit. It's like a subplot in this series. You get the 3 twins. I forget their names, but you get the 3 twins who are also in this series. You get a little bit of Emma Frost. But of course, what I loved about this story was the classic Jean Grey Phoenix storyline. Phoenix overcomes Jean Grey. X-Men freak out. Jean Grey freaks out. And what does Wolverine have to do when all this goes down? Wolverine has a responsibility. Ever since he was kind of introduced as Cyclops' little rival, and ever since Wolverine was introduced as a love interest to Jean Grey, you always knew, or I guess Marvel kind of, I don't want to say made it adamant, but Marvel did a really good job in this storyline to showcase Wolverine's responsibility when all of this goes down. The Phoenix is such a pivotal X-Men villain. She's not only a villain, but she's just like a celestial force of, she's just beyond a force of nature. She's a cosmic force, and she can shoot through galaxies and travel through galaxies and destroy and create, and to have such power, and to be able to create such destruction, somebody's gonna have to step up and stop that. And who steps up and stops that? Well, you gotta read X-Men Phoenix Endsong and find out. I really dug this storyline when it was coming out. Short reintroduction to the Phoenix Force. Drama, tension, but it's not like unnecessary drama. It kind of drives the plot, drives the story. What's going on, Jeff Comic 813? Go check out his Cantonese Wednesday comics, his comic show that he does every Wednesday, so make sure you're on the lookout for that tomorrow. Cantonese Comic Wednesdays. Not only will Jeff show you his great haul, but he will also teach you a little bit of Cantonese. And if you're a learner like me, if you like learning, then go check it out. Cantonese Comic Wednesdays. Jeff Comic 813. Super, super fun. X-Men Phoenix Endsong. Last issue, number 5. Thanks for hanging out, everybody in the chat. Discovery Bay Comics, Art Chemist, Jeff, Comic 813, Bake the Snake, 90M of Comics, Agents of Atlas. The next big thing will be Agents of Atlas. Yeah, but you know what, Art Chemist? Nobody remembers Agents of Atlas Volumes 1 and Volume 2, right? Where you had it was the Ape, I think. It was a different team. I don't remember exactly who made up the team, but Agents of Atlas is blowing up right now currently. They're doing a lot of good things. I'm happy for the Agents of Atlas. I'm happy for them to be able to grow like that. But yeah, man, whatever happened to those Agents of Atlas Volume 1, Volume 2? Those like 12 issue limited series, 12 issue maxi series, I guess you can call it. Whatever happened to those? I have some. They might be in here. They might, but I don't think so. I think I already organized those. But as I dive back into the long box of mystery, Another thing, and I might get some flack for this. Another series that I enjoyed back when I was a kid was the '90s X-Force run. I was that was one of the series that I collected a lot of. I have like 30 something issues of that, like 1 through 30. That's the one with number 2 is like the second appearance of Deadpool. Um, those Rob Layfield characters, covers, storylines. Can't I was a really big fan of Cannonball. I was a really big fan of Cable. So that team for me when I was a kid was cool. It was really cool to me. A lot of action. And I was on the train, like on that train, that X-Force train. I started picking up the continuations of that when the more modern, I guess back in the 2000s, like mid 2000s came out. I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but I do have these X-Force runs, and I think this is 2004. This is October 2004, and it was 6 issues that ran into March 2005. This is X-Force Volume 2. And it didn't do too hot, you know. It was only 6 issues. Rob Layfield again. But for our collection, for this episode of our collection tea time, I kind of wanted to show these off, and because they are in my collection, you know. I definitely bought them when I was a kid. You know, I was digging X-Force. But I want to revisit these. I want to reread these. I want to see how they hold up to time, to the test of time. It's only 6 issues. Was it canceled because it was bad? Was it just not being sold? I want to know. I want to reread these. This X-Force number 2 cover is amazing. I love this one. Not a lot of people dig Rob Layfield's art, but this cover right here, you got to give him at least a little bit of props for this. Cannonball rushing in on the reflection of the sword, of Shatterstar's sword. Shatterstar, of course, another cool X-Force character. Another cool character concept. X-Force number 3. Aggressively relaxing what's going on. He just read some Major X and he said, turn the Layfield up to 11 and break the knob right off. I love it. I picked up some Major X issues. I don't have the full run, so I haven't read it because of that. One of the things that really interested me is that Comic Head 84, the Macho Man himself, the Macho Head himself, he brought to my attention that Major X, like the first issue, doesn't have a lot of background. It's a lot of the background is white, and I guess that was kind of interesting to me. I wanted to pick it up just for the story, of course, but also to see the aesthetic of the interior art, because of course interior art is a very important thing, but how you kind of bring all that aesthetic together as a whole is also very important. And you know, I was very interested by that kind of it was kind of a peculiar thing for a book to have like interior art and just have like white background. Of course the foreground is important, but it's almost like this, but you would be seeing this inside of panels of comics, where it'd be an action sequence but no background art. Like you wouldn't know if you're in a warehouse fighting or etc. That was issue number 4. This is cool though. Deadpool, Wolverine. What's going on, Boatwright? Boatwright Family in Comics. Go check out Boatwright. His channel does some great haul videos. He also has some toy haul videos. So if you're into toys, go check that out. And of course, Boatwright is an amazing artist, art chemist. If you haven't checked out Boatwright's art, go check out Boatwright's art. Boatwright, if you haven't checked out the art chemist's art, go check out the art chemist's art. Nice. X-Force number 5. Fantastic Four appearance. And X-Force number 6. This is where the issue ended. And when I was researching this X-Force Volume 2 run by Rob Liefeld, when I was researching this, I came across this information that apparently Rob Liefeld had used about 4 to 5 pages, maybe more, maybe less, 4 to 5 pages of unpublished comic book material. So stuff that he had already drawn out that was supposed to be for one book but didn't get published. He had taken all of that and input it into these issues, and people noticed that he had took out the text from the speech bubbles and he had just input new text. And I guess he got a little bit of a backlash for doing that. Two issues of issue number 6 here. And this run of X-Force Volume 2, the 6 issues branched off into a 4-issue miniseries of Shatterstar. So we have X-Force Shatterstar number 1. And I mean, I can't imagine these being great, but they're in my collection. I'd like to revisit them and, remake my opinion on these. X-Force Shatterstar number 3. Excuse me, X-Force Shatterstar number 2 right there. And X-Force Shatterstar number 3. I guess we have like a Old Man Cable. This is a pretty cool cover. Big muscles, big action, Rob Liefeld. So, for all of you that are joining in, thank you guys so much in the chat, the Conquistadork Comic Book Chat, Boatwright, Art Chemist, Jeff Comic 813, Aggressively Relaxing, Discovery Bay, Bake the Snake, 90MF Comics, showed off these earlier, V.E. Schwab, Shades of Magic. This is number 5, which kicks off the Night of Knives. And then before that, Shades of Magic, the Steel Prince. Just wanted to show off a little bit of comics that were in my collection that I wanted to go ahead and revisit, reread, see if they hold the test of time, if they are in fact good, or if they're just a filler space in my collection. I showed off, of course, V.E. Schwab's Shades of Magic. This is, of course, Hot Fire. This is a series that I'm catching up on, that I am currently reading. It's a more modern series that started and it begun in 2018. It is up to 8 issues now. The 8th issue came out in July, and I hope they continue it. I believe they're taking a little bit of a break right now, but I hope they continue it. Also showed off some X-Men, Phoenix Endsong, one of my favorite X-Men series. It's a 5-issue limited series, and like I said, one of my favorite, something that I wanted to reread, and kind of, with all the hype of House of X, I wanted to reread it, see if that old X-Men stuff was still good, could still hold up to the newer stuff. And of course, the X-Force by Rob Liefeld. We all know how that's gonna end out. Showed off some Starman, which I recently picked up and added to my collection. Starman, I'm excited to read by recommendation of Mr. Derek Hyde. Kind of like a cyberpunk-esque story. And of course, I picked up issues 1 through 12 of Descender. This is the 12th issue right here. I have never read Descender. I have read some Jeff Lemire, and I know that some of his stuff is good. So I'm excited to pick up this and read through it. Kind of do like a little binge read of these 12 issues. This V.E. Schwab's Shades of Magic is it's a fantasy book. It's a magic book about a prince who has to test himself, and the prince, his magical ability is that he has the ability to bend different sorts of metals. He is most proficient in steel, so if a sword or a rapier was coming at him, he could sort of mend it and make it flimsy so it wouldn't pierce him. If he was holding which he usually does, if he carries a pouch of gold on him, he can mend the gold and make it into this like flowy lava material, and then harness it and harden it and create it into a dagger, and he can use it as a weapon. So it's almost as if creating a weapon out of nothing. But he is in fact a prince. He has to test himself, and he is thrown into this port city, and the port city is run amok by criminals, and he has to prove himself as a fighter and as a leader. He comes across a worthy adversary, and her power, her magical ability is that she is able to mend bones. So she has bone magic. So she is able to, what he does with steel and what he does with metal, she is able to do it with bones. So you see her using her magic to contort the citizens to become like a staircase for her, so she can walk on their backs. And yeah, she just, of course, massacres people. Bone magic. Some deep, dark magic stuff. I am catching up on it. I've only read 2 issues so far, but it's one of the series that I wanted to show off for our collection Tea Time, and one of the series that I wanted to show off for our collection Tea Time because I wanted to continue reading it and, of course, show it off because it is in my collection. Now, we will end off the show by flipping through this book, or flipping through this mystery long box, and I guess when it becomes 30 seconds, I'll stop. Okay. Alrighty. So, we have Marvel Comics Illuminator #1, first action-packed issue. Let the forces of darkness beware the shining might of Illuminator. This is a kind of like a book comic. It has a spine, like one of those harder spines. Yeah, just one of the many random mystery books in the mystery long box. Thank you again, everybody in the Conquistadork Comic Book Chat. Jeff Comic 813, make sure to go check out his Cantonese Comic Wednesday channel. Boatwright Family and Comics, make sure to check out his art, his amazing art, as well as the Art Chemist, who is doing some sick carnageized prints, original prints, aggressively relaxing. Thanks for hanging out. Go check out his channel. If you haven't checked out his channel, he does some hilarious videos. Bake the Snake, winner of the slab down, going on into the next round. What is he going to throw at us? Discovery Bay, thank you so much. And 90MF Comics, Chad, 90MF Comics. YouTube is 90. Thank you again for hanging out with the Conquistadorks. I hope you guys poured yourself up a drink and enjoyed the comics. Stay tuned for some more Art Collection Tea Time. Stay tuned for Oprah Boys Book Club, where we talk about Welcome Back, Frank, the Punisher series. And stay tuned, because very soon the Conquistadorks will be doing a 100 subscriber giveaway. So I will be dropping a video on the rules of exactly how to enter and how to enter multiple times, so you can get multiple entries into the 100 subscriber giveaway, which is coming very soon. Thank you again, everybody in the chat. Thank you for hanging out with the Conquistadorks. Peace.